Welcome back to the Heal Your Hormones podcast. For today's Friday Chats episode, I want to dive into 5 wellness tips for traveling. So, when this episode airs, I'll have just gotten back from a week trip in Maui for one of my best friend's weddings. We actually met when I was 17 dancing at Boston Ballet and have stayed friends ever since. And she is from Hawaii. I've been out to Hawaii once to visit her when I was living in Oregon, but I knew someday I'd be making the trip to Hawaii for her wedding. So after 15 years of friendship, it is really exciting that the time is finally here. She's also a former professional ballet dancer turned surgeon. So she is a true superstar. But my trip inspired today's topic. And, I often hear from my clients that they have this concern and worry around traveling, thinking that all of the work they've put in since we started working together is going to get thrown out the window when they go and travel. Or maybe they're afraid that if they go and travel and get off of their routine, they are going to feel horrible again, and that feeling is never going to go away. So I'm going to share what I do to feel my best when traveling. Sometimes I do better with this than others, but the intention is there. And I think every time I travel, I learn something new about how to keep my body feeling good. So first and foremost, probably what I hear my clients stress about the most is food. Now, number one is I do always try to prioritize a really good breakfast. So, you guys know if you've been listening to the podcast for any amount of time, how I feel about breakfast. It is so important. And for me, if I can eat a really good protein rich breakfast, then I don't get hangry throughout the day. I just feel like mentally, I don't stress about what I'm eating the rest of the day. I just feel like I start off really well. So, especially if you have activities planned with friends and you can't always bank on having lunch at a certain time or a certain place. And so to get a really good breakfast in, you kind of do have control over that a little bit more at the beginning of the day than the middle of the day. So that will just set you up for success later on. Now, pretty much every restaurant has eggs and bacon. So that's usually one of my go-tos if I'm eating out, is getting some sort of meal with those foods in it to get that protein. Or I really love looking up local smoothie shops, depending on where I'm at. If I think they would be good, then I'll definitely do that. I mean, obviously in Hawaii, there's so much fresh fruit. So a great place to look for smoothie shops. Now, if I'm really concerned about, is there going to be access to food? Will I have time to get food in the morning? Then I'll typically pack some bars with me in my bag from home. And my go-to are Aloha bars. I know Whole Foods sells them. They have about 14 grams of protein. The peanut butter cup is my favorite. It truly tastes like a dessert. Sometimes I have as a dessert. The Go Macro bars are great as well. If those are a little bit easier to find, at Trader Joe's sells those. So that's kind of my non-negotiable is breakfast. Now, as for the rest of the day, I really don't stress it. So at home in my daily routine, I'm 98% gluten-free, dairy-free. But when I travel, I don't worry as much, especially if I'm traveling internationally. A lot of the experience of traveling is trying the foods. So I, just enjoy myself. And I know that when I get home and I get back in my routine, it's going to be fine. And maybe, I don't feel 100% digestion wise when I'm eating this way, but I kind of weigh the pros and cons. And maybe if I'm not feeling great that day, digestion wise, maybe I will eat a little bit cleaner. But for the most part, I just enjoy the trip. Now, my next tip is to simplify my supplements. On an average day, I'm usually taking anywhere from 5 to 8 different supplements, ranging from adrenal support to fish oil to vitamin D to Wellbell to magnesium, all of it. And when I'm home, I am religious about it. I have a pill container sitting by my kitchen sink, so I see it all the time, and I'm really good about taking my supplements. Now, I used to pack all my supplements like 100%, thinking that I was going to be good about taking them. And I've just found that I am not good at taking supplements on my vacation. They usually end up sitting in a bag or in a drawer somewhere. And then because I'm not in the hotel room or the Airbnb that much, I just, maybe I'll forget to take my morning supplements, or we're not home during lunchtime and I forget those. And then by the time I get home for bed, maybe I'm just taking my magnesium. So now I've just accepted it's okay if you are gone for, a week or less to not take all of your supplements. But there are a few that I find to be the most helpful to feel good when traveling. So one is going to be Array bloat pills. Array is a company that is run by a naturopathic doctor, and they have these amazing bloat pills. And these are my number one when traveling, because again, I don't restrict myself when it comes to food. And I know that that might lead me to feel a little bit bloated, especially by the end of the day. And these capsules are a game changer. They are by far the best bloat pills I've found. I will link them in the show notes for you, and code Dr. Danielle 15 will save you 15%. So that is number one. Number two, like I mentioned, is magnesium. So magnesium is easier for me to remember to take. I take it before I go to bed. We're always obviously home at that point. And it helps to reduce anxiety, which I tend to have more of when I'm traveling, but it also can help to keep bowel movements regular and help to improve sleep. So I feel like those are three of my biggest struggles when traveling: is the anxiety, sleep, and digestion. So magnesium is really important for that. And then the third is something I may or may not take depending on where I'm going, and that is some type of sleep support. And lately I have been really loving the sleep capsules by Array, that same company that makes the bloat capsules. Now, I won't necessarily bring sleep support if I'm traveling in the same time zone, but if I'm going somewhere like Hawaii, which is a 6-hour time difference from Atlanta, then I bring the sleep capsules to help adjust and just kind of get me on track with timing once I land. Now, tip number 3 is not going to be for everyone, and that is no alcohol. I totally get vacation is time to enjoy yourself. So if alcohol is part of that, then that is great. But this is something that I've had to accept for me over the past year. Alcohol makes my anxiety a million times worse. On vacation, it's extra hard because last year I found that I went on a few trips like late spring, early summer, and I found that I wasn't really drinking in my daily life at home. But then I was going on vacation. It's so easy to wake up and, like have a mimosa with breakfast and then get like a nice, cocktail with dinner. And you're kind of like, depending on what you're doing, you have the potentially kind of drink slowly all day. And for me to go from not drinking to drinking that way, it was just awful. And in my 20s, I could do it and feel great. But last year in June, I actually went to Hawaii for a friend's birthday, and we went for 7 days. We drank for 7 days. And by the end, my anxiety was like on a completely new level. My digestion was horrible. My stomach felt like it just had like knots in it. And I'd left and I thought, like, I have been looking forward to this trip for so long. And I mean, I work a lot. I run my private practice. I also co-own a Pilates studio. So for me to like set aside time to go on a trip and then spend that trip not feeling 100% great, it's just like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why am I wasting my time off with people that I love feeling horrible? So after that trip, actually, I did 105 days, no alcohol. I drank a little bit after that, but now I haven't had a drink in 4 months, and it's just not for me. So for me, that was a huge piece in really feeling good when traveling. Number 4 is I move my body, whether that is a long walk or just even my 15-minute mat Pilates video in the hotel, in the Airbnb in the morning. I know I feel better mentally and physically when I'm active. So I always work that into my trips. I don't feel like it has nothing to do with burning calories or earning the food I'm going to be eating later on. It really has nothing to do with that at all. It's really just like, it's almost like meditation for me. I've mentioned it before. I love, love, love the app Be the Method with Leah Bartha. I've been doing her videos since COVID, and her videos are really great because she has 15-minute videos, and she has some videos without any props. So those are really great for traveling, and 15 minutes, I can do that while whoever I'm with is showering, getting ready for the day. All right, tip number 5, our final tip. This is one I recently have been working on, and that is really setting boundaries around work. Now, depending on what you do for work, this may be super easy for you. It may be really, really difficult or next to impossible. But prior to this year, when I traveled, I had the mindset of, well, my work is virtual. So even if I'm traveling, I could and should be working. But I realized that led me to not fully enjoying and being present wherever I was. And at the end of the day, taking 5 days off is okay. And it's the reason why, one of the many reasons why I choose to work for myself and design my business the way I did. There are so many challenges that come with working for yourself, but one of the major benefits is being able to control your schedule and take time off. So I'm trying not to take that for granted and not feel like I have to be working 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. Of course, as I'm sitting here recording, it's a Sunday, but that's fine because I know the rest of the week is going to be a little bit lighter. But I realized by actually taking time off, it allows me to come back feeling refreshed and really to provide the best care possible for my clients. So that is something that I'm working on kind of throughout all my trips I have planned coming up, is to just really block off that time. And of course, I'm always still checking in on like client messages and responding those because I don't want my clients to be going a week without support. But in terms of like actually scheduling like consultations, or I used to even teach Pilates virtually when I was traveling. And it's just not needed. Like I gotta like chill a little bit. So that is what helps me make the most out of my trips. I think it's important to realize that life is not just about sticking to routine every day of the year, eating the same thing every day, or being tied to our work 24/7. I want to be able to enjoy other things. And I think, it's so important for our mental well-being. So hopefully some of these tips, if not all of them, will help you during your summer travels as well. My next trip is in a few weeks. I'm going to Chicago with my little sister for her birthday, which I'm super excited about. I actually lived in Chicago when I was 18, dancing with the Joffrey Ballet, and then immediately after graduating college. So it'll be really nice to go back. I haven't been back in probably 10 years at this point. And I'll be taking these 5 tips with me so I can really make the most out of the trip and my time with my sister, who I only get to see every few months. All right, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on Tuesday.